You know, with all the talk about North Korea's nuclear missiles and their capabilities right now, a lot of people seem to be really concerned about some kind of a preemptive strike. Either way, that somehow the United States might go in there and shoot something at North Korea, which then would prompt a response both by the North Koreans and then possibly by the Chinese, could draw in the Russians, then of course the Australians, the Brits. It could become a global conflagration and millions, maybe even billions of people could die. That is a very real possibility. However, one of the aspects which I know I personally have talked about going all the way back to 2005, maybe even before that, is the possibility that North Korea could end up launching a nuclear device into space, or at least the high atmosphere, the area where an EMP would have devastating consequences to our economy. How so? Well, first of all, you need to know what an electromagnetic pulse is. It's basically something that would fry all of the electronics in anything that's not hardened. Now, I remember seeing in the military hardened electronics back when I was in the early 90s. Many of those equipment, they just don't exist anymore. They stopped putting hardened electronics in a lot of our military gear. Certainly they don't put it in civilian gear. But the idea that behind having the hardened electronics was in case we got into a nuclear conflict with the Ruskies or whatever, then we would still be able to operate our aircraft and our tanks and our whatnot because the electronics themselves would have been protected from a blast. Now, you can protect anything from the nuclear blast by putting it into a Faraday cage if you happen to have one. Now, I built this studio to be somewhat of a Faraday cage. However, it's not good enough, and I know it's not, which means that if this happens, my broadcast will be over. I mean, that's just the plain and simple point of it. It's going to fry all the computers. It's going to fry all the satellites. It'll basically shut down the economy, not just in the United States, but worldwide. I mean, think about the ripple effect. If you have an EMP go off that wipes out trillions of dollars of assets, if people, I mean, we've been relying on electronic currency. Think about how many people get their direct deposit into their bank. Well, what if the bank doesn't work? What if all that money that you thought you had in the bank is gone? What if you go down to the bank and the bank can't give you cash because there isn't enough cash in any of the vaults anywhere to cover all of the electronic money that's out there? What if you try to go down to the store and you can't buy food because their cash register doesn't work? What if the power is out and all the food starts going bad because they can't keep it refrigerated? What if you go down to get gas for your car, but the pumps don't work because there's no electricity? What if your car doesn't work because it had computers inside that help it run that are also now fried? Do you get where I'm going with this? This would be absolutely catastrophic. In fact, books have been written about it. I remember reading one a couple of years ago called like 10 Seconds After or something like that, which basically explores the possibility of what would happen if. Now, I think we need to start considering what will happen when. Because I don't think the North Koreans are as crazy as some people in the media like to try to portray them. They're strategic. They see themselves as being the victims. They've been continuously in a state of war since the 1940s. And now we've got the Americans moving in more and more and more military equipment, making it look to the people that live there as if we are about to invade them and impose our rule on them. Well, strategically, what if they were to wipe out our economy? It would bring everything to a standstill. Something to consider. And if you'd like to engage me on the topic, of course, you can send me an email, steve@radiofreespeech.com. As long as the email is still working, we will talk about it.